Welcome to In the Stiffs podcast with me, Sam Aiston. I'm joined by my friends and former Shrewsbury teammates, Gavin Cowan and Dave Edwards.
Big thank you to our sponsors, the brilliant Budgeon Motors, kindly sponsoring us in this third series. A family-owned business of 40 years with exceptional customer service. Loads of competitive deals on new and used cars. Get yourselves down there.
Right, welcome everybody. This is a little bit different. We've got a new setup. What do you think of our new setup, Dave?
I feel naked. We just said about feel like I need something in front of us.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this, we're just on a sofa and a beanbag.
Well,
relaxing back.
Forget about people listening to it because I'm losing my head with the YouTube subscribers. So if you are listening to it, stop listening to it and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or keep listening to it, but watch it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, do that.
Because obviously if you say stop listening to it, people
we
might
wouldn't
just cut
listen.
off
Just
there and go,
subscribe.
I will then, Sam.
Just subscribe to YouTube.
I think, is there a problem with, do you need like a Google email to subscribe or something? Is it difficult?
It's a ball ache, innit, if you haven't got that, definitely.
So it's difficult to subscribe to YouTube?
Because obviously we've been banging on about loads of people subscribing. And
Well,
then
I
when
know
I,
for a
when I
fact some people
subscribed
I
last
know
week,
Yeah. So you subscribe, what do you have to put in?
you have to have like, is it like a Google email address? Or
So it is a Google email.
I think so, yeah. And then you have your YouTube sign in. And
You
then,
just need a YouTube login, don't you?
yeah. And
You
a
have
lot of
YouTube
people,
account.
to be fair, watch YouTube without any login. They just watch YouTube anyway because you can. So they might watch us.
That's selfish.
Yeah, but a little bit, yeah.
Okay, well...
But tune in next week for more YouTube tips.
Right, well, welcome to another episode of In the Stiffs. Thanks to our sponsors, Budgeon. Best sponsors around, best car dealership in Shropshire and the rest
The world.
of the world.
Shropshire, Shrewsbury.
And we're going to look at bus stops. Just before we do, though, we've had a lot of good feedback about Jody Craddock podcast.
Yeah, really
Did
good.
anybody say anything nice to you, Gavin, about it?
I'm not surprised though, because he's like, when it's just good people, nice. We get that all the time, don't we? You bring someone on, everyone has a preconceived idea of what they're going to look like, how they're going to be, the mannerisms, are they going to be big time? And we just don't get it, do we? We're having a real running theme of just having great lads.
Yeah.
Like Jack Price, I knew nothing about him other than obviously what a brilliant footballer he was. Comes in and like, what an absolute class act, proper lad, down to earth, but can also have a proper conversation with him. Jody was next level, wasn't he?
I think with Jody, you know him quite well as well, Dave, same as me. He's not your stereotypical footballer though, is he? At all. Not that I even know what that means really anymore, like a stereotypical footballer, but I suppose somebody who's been through that like pathway of just playing football. I think he just came to it so late, didn't he? Never been associated with a club till he was 18 or something.
Yeah. And I think he always had an idea of what he wanted to do away from football as well, didn't he? So
yeah,
I think
a backup plan.
Yeah. So that's quite unique for footballers to know that so early. Did it all the way through his playing as well. I remember at Wolves he'd go back, start and do all his art stuff. And it's amazing to see him forge that career now.
Yeah, because from the outside, obviously, I think most people will look at a footballer and say, I can spot a footballer a mile away, you know, the way they dress, they carry themselves and all that. And he's been quite sort of unique in the sense that he's sort of done his own thing, because how many footballers go home and do art? How many people wear rosary beads around their neck? What is he, like 40?
Quite a few.
Again,
looks like a Hell's Angel, didn't he, when he come in?
Did, yeah.
He come on your motorbike.
Yeah, he's his own person, isn't he? And you've got to admire that, haven't you? Because he's not running with the sheep, is he?
Do you think, I mean, this is bearing in mind our podcast, this hasn't come out yet, but with Drew Broughton, do you think for Jody it's helped him, like, not coming through academies and that pathway?
I think so.
Because you play with a bit more, you're like saying, no fear again, haven't you? You're playing with a lot more freedom. You're just thinking, wow, what an opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm 19. I haven't built this up of 15 years of being coached and worrying about what I'm going to be doing and where I'm playing and where I need to be standing and am I going to get turned in behind. He's just playing the game. Like
Ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Because like for me, through my apprenticeship and just the way it was back then, fear is bred into you. Mm-hmm. It is like, and you've got to cope with it. You sink or swim, you know, and it's like, you will do this and you will do that. And if you don't do that, these are the consequences. And for him, I think a little bit ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, and he's always on the way up, wasn't he? Which I think helps. He was conquering one team, then moving to the next, and then going higher and higher, getting to the Premier League. Whereas if you're a Premier League academy, you're that scared of going the other way.
Yeah.
It can inhibit your performance.
Yeah, you start up there, then you end up at Gainsborough when you're 34 in the back of the car with Gavin Cowan. like I did, yeah.
Can't get much worse, can it?
No, I think thinking about me when I went to Sunderland, because I stayed on at school, didn't do YT. When you become a pro, you hadn't had 2 years of being sort of intimidated by everybody else. You just come, and I think you don't overthink your game. You know, I'm not thinking, right, I've got to put the ball into the forward, I've got to track back here, I've got to do that. You just playing.
Yeah.
Intimidated is a good word, because I think like there's a power thing that goes on with the pros and the YTs, and when you come through and like you come through that academy thing and the culture that's there, and then certainly back then when you did like your YTS, like the fear was definitely there, driven by the pros to let you know where you stand, where you are. You don't come here and start trying to take my place and they bash you down. So it definitely played a part.
That's fear from them, isn't it, as well? That youngsters coming up to take their place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the podcast we did with Drew as well. That'll be a fantastic listen when it comes out.
I think we always say that, but that is one of my all-time favourites. I've literally changed what I said to my kids at the weekend.
Oh yeah, massively.
It's like we got a free therapy session, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I now, like, we joked about me being I think now I'm qualified to be a life coach.
Yeah.
I think
that's added to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, added to it. Yeah, obviously. I was already operating at quite a high level anyway, but I think that was like the.
What do you constitute being qualified?
Just like a vast amount of knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would have said.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I tried getting in his car with him in the car park at the hotel when we left. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want him to leave me.
Do you know what though? Do you know why he's been successful? Because it just resonates with everybody. When I watched him the next morning, and he woke up on Saturday morning of the day of the game, and he was just like, and he's did this live video on Instagram, and he just said, I know loads of you footballers out there waking up and you're hoping for the game to be off, or you're hoping something's going to happen, because when you wake up in that comfy bed in the morning and then you suddenly think, I've got to go out and play in front of all these people, and it's a tough feeling, isn't it, as well? I remember when we used to stay overnight and you had an evening game.
Yeah.
I remember you'd have what would happen was, I'm telling not the listeners, I'm telling the viewers that so you'd sometimes go on an away game and you'd stop in you'd travel in the morning, have lunch, and then you'd have a sleep in the afternoon in a hotel, wouldn't you, if it's a 7:30, quarter to 8 kick off. So you'd have like a 4-hour sleep. And I remember you'd set your alarm for like 4:30, quarter to 5, and get up and have a pre-match, then go to the game. I remember waking up loads of times in hotel rooms and it'd be dark this time of year, and you'd hear the rain. You'd be in this comfy bed, wouldn't you, about 4:30, and you'd be like this, and you'd have like Wickham Away or something like that, and you'd wake up and you'd think, right, in like 2.5 hours time, I'm going to go and play in front of like 5,000 people, and it's going to be.
Could you ever, that little period that you used to get? Could you ever sleep then?
Yeah.
I used to struggle because I used to think, what if the alarm clock don't go off, or what if I don't get up and the coach goes without me? I used to spend 2 hours trying to get myself off to sleep.
Horrible feeling when you wake up. Like Sam said, you want to stay in bed because you're a bit dozy and dazed. I was always okay on a normal 3 o'clock game. I think getting up in the morning, I had more excitement about the game, but those night games, especially in the middle of winter, and you had your afternoon sleep.
Yeah, and especially, I don't know, away from home as well. I never liked being away from home. Playing away from home. I used to like at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, like at your home ground. Yeah. You used to
play
like
the game
because you know
get showered,
what you were doing. Nothing to do with the game. Just looking forward to going to Dunk Cow for a couple of pints after.
Friday night at home is always the best.
Yeah,
because you had the weekend off. If you won on a Friday night, best weekend ever.
Well, I played for Tranmere, and Tranmere used to play on a Friday night, didn't I? So you used to get like the weekend off. And
amazing.
And if you'd won, you were doing all right. Like it's when sometimes like Brian Little trying to give you the Monday off. Yeah. Like if you've done all right and you've driving home on the Friday night,
sweating out on the Tuesday,
Monday. It was funny what he said, and he said about Peter Schmeichel, which was a fascinating clip. And I watched that clip of Peter Schmeichel when he said he was playing for somebody, and he was so like racked with fear. He was like hoping the coach was going to crash because he was just so like wanting to get out of it because you're so uncertain. And what was fascinating, you'll probably see that now, Gav, with your lads. People before the game, it's being in that dressing room before the game and seeing how people cope, because everybody is massively under pressure, aren't they? Yeah. Because no one knows how that next 90 minutes is going to go, but it's so important for every player, every manager, and you just see everybody vulnerable but trying to hide it and trying to be different.
The coping mechanisms.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
They're
coping mechanisms.
Absolutely mental. To see the difference between the individuals and how they cope with that situation and how it manifests, and how some of them are proper on the front foot with chest out, how some of them look like, you know, they're trying to, you know, recoil away. It is fascinating, actually.
But even though with their chest out, and I like alternate between that, I'd be like, come on, we're going to do that, but like, it's because you're nervous and you're scared about what's coming on.
It's the same fear, it's just different coping mechanisms, absolutely.
I can imagine you were quite quiet, Dave, were you, before games?
I was mainly. If I was captain, which I was a bit towards the end of my career, a few times at Wolves and Shrewsbury, I would then kind of be more of a rallier, sort of in the dressing room, trying to get people going, not like screaming, but going up to people and making sure they're ready for it. But yeah, I found a really nice rhythm in the second half of my career where I'd just go off and have a bit of quiet time to myself and just think about the game. Just go, whether it's sitting in the toilet cubicle or in the showers or something, and just have a minute and 90 seconds just in my head, just going through the game. Well, not trying to calm down, but it's more like visualise it. This is how I'm going to play today, this is how I'm going to score. And just kind of almost like centre yourself a little bit, because there's all chaos going on in the dressing rooms. You're getting energy gels thrown at you, you're getting tactics thrown at you, you're getting lads.
Sick, you got some sat in the toilet, you got some shouting, some being
pacing
quiet,
up and down, people crossing over. It's mad, isn't it?
And I felt like I just needed that moment just to refocus. After the warm-up, come back in, get your shot, get completely ready, go away for a minute.
Did you have a bit of a routine then before games?
Not, I wouldn't say a routine. I had my pre-activation stuff I'd do, so like the stretches and the warm-ups I'd do in the change rooms. I'd always want to get those done, and I'd always want to be completely ready before I went out. So loads of players, well, I'd say the majority, don't wear their shin pads for the warm-up. I had to have my shin pads on, taped up, because it's a different feeling when you have your shin pads on. So I wanted to feel that in the warm-up. Do you know what I mean? You always, when you haven't got your shin pads on, you feel a bit freer, don't you, with your calves and whatever. You haven't got your socks pulled up, so I always had to be completely ready before the warm-up, so I knew how I felt going into the game. But that was...
And when you warmed up, I can imagine you warmed up intensely, did you? Like you were like on it.
Yeah.
You weren't doing a Maradona with like flicking the ball with your laces on.
No, it kind of got more intense as the warm-up went on. I'd start off by just sort of getting a few strides in across the pitch, bit of ball work, but then as it got intense, as you get into like the possession-based stuff and the shooting, really try to switch on. You'd always do a bit of fast feet, but I'd always want a patch where I would literally stride out for 50, 60 yards, like full blast, try and get your legs going, trying to get that feeling in your legs where you feel like you can't go again, because I didn't want that feeling in the game.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like
so you want to get that in your
sort of thing. You want to get that out of the way. So you, like your first blast where you go. So get that done, and then
make sure I do 2 or 3 strides like that, and So I did have a lot of habits actually, but you don't think
you didn't have any habits, but apart from these
my coping mechanisms were totally about like being really loud with messages, key messages for the game, but were also, when you think back now, probably more for my benefit than the lads around me. So it's like,
you think you're doing it for the lads?
Start fast. Remember, numbers down the side, be ready at set pieces. Like all of those things, just constantly saying them out loud for lads and feel like I'm motivating them, but the reality was I was motivating myself. Definitely. What about you, Sam?
What you like as a manager though first now?
A little bit similar. Like the thing is, you've got players in there, so it's dependent on the changing room. Like, I've got some real big characters in my changing room, and then you leave it like our captain. He's quite vocal, and again, he's very much like what I was.
Do you let him speak?
Yeah. Well, not so much speak in terms of the team, but he will rally and he will do a lot of verbal, you know, sort of driven stuff. Go. Yeah, but it's not so much. It's more points. It's like, be ready at set pieces, be ready to win your first battle, like, you know, those sorts of things. And
just reminders.
Yeah, reminders from training as well. We've worked on it all week. Make sure we get the horizontal recovery. Make sure we get the jump press. We know what we're doing from restart presses. We know what we're doing. He's really good at doing that. And then some of the others will chip in, and then I'll sort of just, any that he's missed out, I'll maybe just come in and just, you know, reiterate points.
Must be a nice feeling as a manager when you see the change room looking after itself like that.
Really, I'm really lucky. Yeah, I've got, you know, some. It was a big reason why in the end I went for the job. When it was sort of laid out in front of me, I was like, I want to go for the job, because you knew that like you're going to have the changing room. You know, they're going to adhere to what it is that you want to do.
It's a sign of a good leader, isn't it? We get that at schools, that a good leader should have systems in place so they don't need you there. That's what a few people have said to me. You know, if you feel like you can leave the building, you've got good systems in place. Same with you, changing room, I suppose. If the changing room's going to manage itself, he's done a pretty good job. Yeah,
and our thing is at the moment is about making the players accountable. So at the moment, like, everything's done for them. You know, but it's like what you just said there, Dave. You want to make sure you're ready to go. So you had a process in the warm up, through the build up, your pre-activation stuff. Make sure you got your shin pads on. it's a little bit like that from me as a manager, making sure that they've got all of those things in place. So actually, when they do go, I always say to Jay, the assistant, it's out of our hands now. And of course, there's bits in the game, like, you know, even like last night, we had to just change formation a couple of times just to help them because of certain things. The opposition are starting like, right, we're 2-0 down, we need to have a right go. Yeah, of course, we can help there. But for the most part, you've done your work. Like, the lads now need to go out there and they need to do it. So, yeah, which they do for the most part. And like you say, it's because we've got big leaders. And I like it as well. Like, you know, they have open conversations in the changing room, and we have open. Like, I'm happy for them to speak as long as it's done in the right way, respectfully, and it's all towards a common goal. So,
yeah, that's a good argument to have. If you're looking at different ways to win the game, that's a good argument to have, isn't it? I see the same at work.
And they make really good points, you know. But equally, if someone makes a point that's not relative, or, you know, I'll quickly go.
Tell them to shut up.
Yeah. Be quiet. yeah. But that doesn't happen very often because, again, you want to encourage your players to express themselves in the changing room, so they do it on the pitch, don't they?
Good. Interesting little start, that. Anyway, need to look out for that Drew Broughton one, because that is massive, isn't it? It's a great podcast, that.
That's
going to be great.
Yeah, he's quality.
I listen to all that stuff now. I'm obsessed with it all about
Can I be totally honest?
Go on.
On the way up there in the van, I was a little bit pessimistic about what we were going to be facing. You worry that it's a little bit Hollywood, because, again, it's something that you can't see. He's talking about emotions a lot of the time, and I wondered, because it's a little bit of the sort of the buzzwords and all of that at the moment. It's all in fashion,
feeling and emotion and stuff, which is really difficult to measure, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
If you're a sports scientist, you're probably going to frown upon that, because you're not getting any data on that. You're not getting anything that you can go, well, look, this is...
Can't
this
quantify it, can you?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you grab it? And I was a bit pessimistic because I thought it was a bit Hollywood, but actually being around him, you do actually get the real sense. First of all, he's committed to it, and he's willing to put his neck on the line in front of people, isn't he?
That was my biggest thing.
Say his truth.
He would put himself out there and kind of back his points to the hill if it's wrong. Like the way he backs certain individuals, he went into more detail afterwards, didn't he, off camera, but people he's working with, and he's putting out there, I'm helping this person. You can see the difference that's making, but he's put it out there now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
People he's helping, names he's helping, and if it doesn't work out for them, then...
Yeah, I think that we all recognise it, don't we? When you think, like the pressure and how we felt, and like thinking, you don't want to play, are you so nervous about what's happening, are you wary? Or talk about what we're like before games. I remember I used to chop and change. 1 minute I'd be shouting, then I'd be trying something else. You're constantly trying, like looking for this 1%, aren't you, all the time? And it is fascinating for everybody to listen to. Sort of the fear, and that, we were in the worst, most macho environment possible, isn't it, in football? Like, you cannot show any weakness. I think it's different now. I saw a great clip with Micah Richards talking to what's it called, Sturridge, about it, and he was saying, now people are starting to talk more, aren't they, about their how their feelings, whereas we just didn't, did it? You'd never say, I'm feeling a bit nervous today. Like, people would say, are you all right? You just go, yeah. How are you feeling? Sound?
Back when we played together and that, and what would you think I would have said if you'd have said that to me?
I think you'd have probably been all... I think you'd been all right. I think you would have been... I think at the start, I think if someone said, I'm feeling a bit sad, I'd have gone, pull yourself together, grow up, toughen up.
Yeah.
I think
imagine saying that to a manager or coach as well. You'd never do it because you wouldn't play.
Yeah. Never. I'd never felt. Hey, you wouldn't go up to Peter Reid and say, Gaffer, I'm a little bit worried about this. It just wouldn't, it would not. You'd be frightened to death to say that.
Well, I remember when you saying
about say it to anyone.
When Alex Ray come back from obviously his difficult time, and Peter Reid obviously was a bit. He was vocal about saying can't handle his beer and all of that. It was like a bit inappropriate. Do you know what I mean? But at the time, in his
he got a standing ovation, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even tell that story.
You said it already.
I said it.
Yeah.
So he got a standing ovation.
He got a standing ovation, didn't he? Come on, because he'd been
Alex Ray.
He'd been at the Priory or something. I was on the bench, and he'd come on. He'd been gone for like 9 months or something, and he's come on. And like everyone's like clapping, the whole crowd, like stadium of lights, 42,000 people in that. Peter Reid's just gone something like F and whatever, and he's gone, first time I've ever seen someone get the stand ovation for not handling their beer. And you're like,
brutal.
But also that
and in his defence, in Peter Reid's defence, that is how it was.
Like, we'd have been the same. I'd have been like,
at the time, no one would have gone.
He was saying it for a laugh.
No one at that time would have gone, It's a bit.
But we used to say Alex Ray would be like talking, and then Alex Ray be going to us, hey, you young lads, just be careful when you go out. And I'd be like, shut up, Alex, you're more of a laugh when you're on the drink. I used to say that stuff like that to him all the time. And you look back and you think, what, like... But that was the culture, wasn't it? Yeah. You were under pressure. Like, you had to go to the Christmas parties and you had to get drunk.
Yeah.
They'd make you. Like, the older pros would make you. Yeah. You'd have to go.
I had this conversation the other day. It was with one of the senior pros on the coach on the way back. And I was like, right, Mauro, what time are we out then, mate? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to be out tonight, mate. And I was like, seriously, what time are we out? He's like, well, I've got a few things on tomorrow. He's a family man. He's obviously older than me. He's got kids. He's got a missus that he has to obviously take into consideration. And I just went on a barrage of absolutely hammering it. What are you talking? It's one time in the year. Are you that under the thumb? Are you like, you can't come out for a beer? And obviously it's only when you get older you're thinking, I'm thinking his missus is stopping him and like he's like all like hung down in chains. But the reality, he didn't want to come out because he was like, I don't want to get hammered because tomorrow I've got to spend time with my kids. I probably don't see them all week because I'm at work, training. And then my missus wants to see me. And in his defence, you look back now and he's like, he didn't want to come out, but the culture was...
Oh, you had to.
What are you playing at?
We used to go out whether they wanted to or not. We used to go out, young lads, and you'd have to be pint for pint. And like we'd all be doing it. We'd all be pouring our pints behind the city.
Yeah.
You're pouring your pints. You sit water on the plants. Like, you'd be like trying to hide. Like you'd be like that because you didn't want to have to keep up because it was too. Because you couldn't keep up, but it was all.
What was your
such macho things?
What was one of your tricks to get rid of your beer?
I was always a bit better, wasn't I?
No, I was like you used to struggle. You used to pour it in mine, didn't you?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't have any little tricks.
I always remember being at the urinals and the lad next to me had his pint like this and he's swaying around and all that. I was thinking, what was he up to? And he just literally poured his beer down the urinal.
But you'd have to come back.
And I actually went to him. I went, fair play, mate. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Get it gone while you can.
That was just the pressure that you were on. Like, I don't know. Maybe you're a bit later than us, Dave. So maybe it eased a little bit by then. But like when we were younger, it was like ridiculous like that. The macho, the pressure of like who's the strongest. You'd go on holiday, like who's going to get the most girls on holiday. Everybody would be rushing around chasing the girls, and that is pressure to doing it. And you think, look back, you think that is crazy. Yeah. And I think it is better for the lads now, and you hope it is. But I still think there's a lot like that. Wits is getting annoyed us because it's time. Why are you saying the time? Because it's called bus stops and we've mentioned 21 minutes and we haven't mentioned any bus stops yet. Right.
I need. Well, you boys carry on. Gav's had his dog on here and I am dying.
Oh, what is going on? Yeah.
Got any tissues behind there?
Toughen up, Dave.
Pull yourself together.
We're going to talk about bus stops, and I think that's always a nice one. I think people always ask me about like fights and stuff, isn't it? Now we've got to be a bit careful because we don't want to start talking about massive fights that we had. But I think it's fair to say, Gav, probably now Dave's gone off. Dave was a nice lad, wasn't he? But I think me and you, we ended up having a few fallouts. I'm thinking few player v player, few on nights out, few in training, some around matches, some from managers. Can you think of any? I mean, you've got quite a famous one with Gary Peters, haven't you? Do you want to talk us through that one?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a classic, isn't it?
Did it in his book, didn't he? And
it was Ben Smith. That was in Ben Smith's book, wasn't it?
And it's the way he describes it looks half bad on me, to be fair. And I called him and went like, how come you've done it like that? And he just went, sells books, doesn't it? So
go on, tell us a story.
No, then. We played against Rochdale away, and it was going absolutely amazingly well. I scored. We're 3-1 up away from home. Coming at half time, absolutely buzzing. And Joe Hart, obviously, he hadn't been on the scene long, and I hadn't been around long either. And he was being protected quite a lot, Joe, through this time. And it was like, listen, don't concede a goal early. Whatever you do, don't concede a goal early. Joe, like... I
love that advice from a manager, though. Whatever you do, don't concede a goal early. Like, what is that?
Again, it's just...
Like, oh, yeah, go on there. Oh, thank goodness you've said that, 'cause we were just about to concede a goal, but now you've said that, we'll try and keep one out.
Stating the obvious.
Top work, Gaffer.
Yeah. And so Joe drops a clanger and it goes to 3-2 pretty quickly. And it was like a muddy pitch and it just turned into like an absolute mud bath. It turned into like a proper, 11 men fighting 11 men on the pitch. Then they inevitably got another goal to bring it back. And then
As happens, momentum builds.
Yeah, momentum builds and the crowd are up and all of this. And then I was back with a lad called Hobson who I had some right good old battles with over the days. A right handful he was. And we've gone to go up for a header as they've cleared it. And I'm sort of not the last man, but one of them. And as I've gone to jump, it was such a mud bath. My foot's gone through the mud. And obviously the front...
You weren't wearing your copers or your rubbers, were you?
No, I wasn't. I wanted to though. He wouldn't let me. And I've gone down and then... This is on the halfway line. So then obviously it's broke and about a minute later they score, obviously 4-3. And then we come in from the change room and obviously the lads are gutted, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because you're 3-1 up at
So
half-time.
emotions are running high, aren't they?
So Colin McMenamin comes in and he, obviously he's going to say it's warranted because he goes, I can head the ball because he sees from where he is.
Right.
He doesn't see it. So he's thinking, I don't know.
He shouted that at you?
In the changing room. So obviously...
I always a bit wary of that as well, aren't you? Because like, why is he shouted that when you come in?
So I felt that. I felt it was a bit for show.
Yeah.
Cole
head the ball and he scored or something. Oh, well done, mate. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Cole probably did it, was just emotions high. He's gutted. He wants someone to blame and all of that. He's probably, because it ruins your weekend and that. But obviously I'm not accepting that at the time. So I go for him, obviously.
All right.
Go for him, grab him. We're slipping all over the place because with Gary Peters made us wear like 6-inch studs.
So you're on the changing room.
So I've sort of got him round the throat and all of that. And then I just remember, like, obviously people are splitting it up and I didn't really know what was going on. I just had someone had me sort of round the neck more than the throat, like sort of arm around the neck. But then as I sat down, someone sort of had me by the throat. But you know when you sort of, I'm so focused on Cole that I was like, you know, I'm going to kill him. And then I sort of like looked round and I remember Hopi going, Gaffer, like get off him sort of thing. And I looked up and went, what are you doing? And that was it. That was all it was. Obviously Smudger in his book makes out that flipping Gary Peters is picking up.
But he still grabbed you around the throat.
Yeah, but in the melee I didn't even realise it was him and I didn't even realise someone had me round the throat. I just literally was like, and he wasn't like gripping me up round the throat. He was doing the whole, and then the reality is when you look back, he needed to protect Joe. Oh, like me and him had a real volatile relationship. And when you look at it, he basically come in on the Monday, got the DVD, and he wanted to embarrass me in front of everyone.
Oh, so he's carried it on the Monday.
So I was like, yeah, go on.
It's not like just heat the moment, he's actually...
And obviously my part in it was I should have just been a bit submissive. I'm the player, ride it out.
Well, not really.
Well, I just wouldn't. And I was like, yeah, play it. He's like, I'll play it if you want. I went, play it, get it on now, no problem. In front of everyone.
Yeah.
He's like, I will. So he put it on. I go, you can clearly see, because he's going, you ducked. I went, what? I'm a centre half. Never ducked under a ball in my life. What are you talking about? And he was like, you ducked. And I'm like, you can clearly see it. So you could see me going through the mud. Like, you know, it's absolute. Listen, the pitches aren't like what they are now, are they? And I just said to him, no. And then so he was going, well, you got 18 months left on your contract. You won't play for me again.
In front of all the lads?
In front of all the lads. I went, well, yeah, no problem. That's fine, no problem. Good luck getting me out of my contract. And that was the bit where I was a bit of a knobhead because really they're things that I'm going, yeah, good luck getting me out of my contract, all the best.
It's all in front of the lads.
All in front of the lads,
so really,
yeah.
You could have just gone, well, we should talk about... You could have took the moral high ground and gone, Gaffer, can we talk about this privately?
Yeah, but obviously, what am I, mid-20s?
Yeah,
and like he's trying to embarrass me in front of the lads.
Yeah,
and I'm going, I'm not having that.
No.
And I'm going, and you're like, you know, I find out that you're trying to grab me around the throat. Like, that's clever, isn't it? And he's like going, well, you're lucky I didn't do that. And then obviously he starts walking towards me then. And then it's like, well, I'm going, okay, no problem. So I start getting, I'm going down this. And in the end, you look back and you go, the reality is Joe dropped the second and the third goal. Joe's young and obviously he's a big asset to the club. And that was part of his learning. Yeah. And to be fair to Joe, I think that about 5 games before that, he'd pulled off worldies and been brilliant.
Yeah, but
obviously I was the fall guy. And that was just the way it was.
You can understand in the heat of the moment, and that happens, doesn't it, with managers and that. Even that, grabbing you on the throat, I'd be like, I mean, Peter Reid used to do that. He's like, if you give the ball away again, Sam, I'll smash it. You know, like, give it all that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But like, it'd be like, it's fine, it's the heat of the moment, it's what has happened.
Yeah, of course.
But I wouldn't expect it 3 days later when he's reflected on it, is the lead.
Oh, mate, it was painful.
And it'd be a quiet word. And we watch it, and you watch it together. Yeah. What's your opinion?
But you're talking about a man. You're talking about a man that when we played Bristol Rovers at home, I was the last one walking out of the changing room and it was Gary Peters, Mick Wadsworth, and I was walking out and he stopped me, touched me on the shoulder and he went, if you don't play well for me today, you won't play again. And as I was walking down the corridor at the Gay Meadow, I could hear Mick Wadsworth going, fucking hell, Gary, what are you playing at? And he's going, wow, he needs to learn. He's going, you can't say
That's not learning that. What you learning from that? You talk about playing with, like, how do you get out of playing with fear? like being told something like that. That is just instilling more fear in already a nervous lad trying to prove himself, and you get told that. Like, that is ridiculous leadership.
Oh, you're crippled because you can't think of anything else, can you? Especially when you're young. And they're the moments, aren't they? That's when you need good managers to be able to say, go and enjoy yourself today. But
also managers didn't have enough training or whatever. They didn't understand enough maybe about psychology or whatever. I don't know. And they were probably brought up in that same macho. Well, they certainly were. Yeah. People like Peter Reid and Gary Peters and
the gaffer
those sort of characters definitely will.
He said to me once, he went, come here. So I went over to him and he went, do you know what my greatest achievement in football was? I went, go on. He went, kicking the ball over the stand at Stamford Bridge. And then literally turned on his heels and walked away. And to this day, I'm like, where was the message in that there?
Did he mean because he played at Stamford Bridge? Or?
I don't know. He was just talking about defending. I think he was talking about defending. Just saying, kicked it over the stand at Stamford Bridge. That was it. I cleared the stand at Stamford Bridge. And to this day, I'm always like, I'm just trying to, there was obviously some sort of philosophy in there, some sort of psychology. And to this day, I'm like, oh, right.
It was so unspoken of back then, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People didn't understand the mind as much and how to get the best out of players and how players, you can make them more resilient, how you can make them more confident. You know as a manager and you know as a teacher that people act in different ways. There might be someone you have to give a rollicking to. You know that's how to react better, but the majority of players...
I think that's very few, isn't it? Very,
there is people that need that, though.
But like sometimes need a bit of an edge. I mean, I think too about Roy. Drew was talking about Roy Keane. Wasn't he saying? I think Roy Keane admits he was playing with fear because he's scared of losing. He's scared of being scared. So he's on edge because he can't. He wants to relax and he wants to, but he can't. He's like on edge and he needs that to play and he needs someone to wind him up. You know. But I think the vast majority of people I know, I don't think often play well with fear.
No.
What about you two then? Bust-ups, Sam? Obviously, to name it, like I've named one of a few. What would be the one that sticks out?
Massive. Dave just quickly mentioned about the Beckham documentary and thinking about Alex Ferguson, and Gary Peters would probably be the one I would say was the most volatile. Never really had a massive bust up with me. I never with managers. Even Kevin Ratcliffe, like he was fuming with me, but he was more cutting rather than like. I remember one time I come on a sub against Macclesfield. I had a bit of trouble and I was like, he put me on the transfer list after that through the week, and I came on and I played well, and after the game he just went, thanks Sam, thanks for that, and he went, now you can F off, like as in like just like he would just cut you dead like that. Peter Reid was the one who would shout and scream, and he was like, he proper threatened me a few times just by giving the ball away. I just remember that one. Like, if you give the ball away again, I can't remember what it was.
But scared, are you?
Like, he's like, I'm like sitting there at 18, like I'm sitting there. Then he'd like go to like the Michael Bridges and he'd be like, and you, and I'd be thinking like, you look back and you think, you've got two 18-year-old lads there, and you're thinking, why are you thinking that's going to get the best out of these lads? Because obviously we're playing in this environment anyway, like with all these grown men playing for this intimidating, angry, aggressive manager, and I'm thinking, and I'm sure I didn't go out the second half and play amazing off the back of that. How are you going to?
No.
It's like when I love it, and like loads of managers doing that, and people would be like, Sam, relax on the ball, relax, and you're going, I'd love to go back and go now, Gaffer, that's not helping me. I'm not a psychologist. That's not helping. Gary Peters going to Gavin before he goes out, you better play well for me or you're never going to play again. Guess what? That's not helping you play well.
No.
What the best thing to say is, mate, you're amazing. You're going to be playing for me for the next few games. You are a class act. Show everybody how good you are.
Yeah.
Say that. Yeah. Watch the difference.
Oh,
that happens.
elevating people. We had at Telford. We had Rob and Larry, who like
them too. I remember them two on the sideline.
Always
screaming
and shouting. There was always a bust up in the changing room. Always like, and those two wanted to instigate.
This is the two Telford managers when you play for Telford.
But what used to make me laugh about it? It was more at half time. So like for me, right, if you're 1-0 up at half time but you've not played particularly well, for me it's like, right, let's focus on the positive messages. Let's problem solve, but there's no point in me going in on players, like you say there, and going, you can fuck, because they're going to go out at half time and then be crippled with fear, or they're going to be like, all coiled up like a spring. So it's about, listen, we need to be better. We know we need to be better. Come on, I know you've got it in you. You're not quite doing it for me, but I need it from you, and whatever it may be. What those two used to do, Rob used to just go off on one, and you'd be thinking, we're winning 2-0. Because we used to, to be fair, when I first played under Rob and Larry, we battered everyone. We'd batter everyone every week. And you'd be thinking, we're winning 2-0. And he'd be going at you. And you, fucking, any chance of you winning a header? And I'm thinking, I ain't lost one yet. But he's like he needed to come for you. And he'd go, Larry, anything to say? And Larry's like, the proper Brummies. And he'd go, no, not really, Rob. Not really, Rob. But, when I think about it, and you... and he'd always say...
we're not doing it. Can you please do a good cop, bad cop? You've got 2 bad cops here.
Anything to say, Larry? And he'd go... And I used to call him the Kesh.
Yeah,
because he used to go, not really, Rob, no. But I'm telling you this now. And he'd literally go off, and everybody would just be like, oh my God, I can't even hear him. Only dogs could hear him.
I think like Drew was talking about, that's their own fears, isn't it? Yeah. So they're worried about the second half. They're sweating on a 2-0 lead, which is a horrible lead in football. Like, at half time, I remember Brian always used to say, I hate 2-0s. Because you got everything, you're waiting for them to get one. And so it's like you're 2-0, and it's like, because you start getting a bit comfortable, and you don't, it's a difficult one to play there. You still play your normal game. And they're obviously panicking. So they've just come on and put all their anxieties and nerves and just gone, I'm really nervous and anxious. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it all onto the players and start having to go. Whereas actually, take a breath. Yes, you're nervous and anxious, but come at half time and go, right, we've got ourselves in a good position. Give them something constructive. If someone needs a bit, hey, come on, you show us what you've got. You've got more in the tank than that. Get aggressive, you do that. But you look back and I think, what were some of these managers doing? Literally clueless.
It's certainly not, being a manager now, it's not my way. To come in, and obviously people need telling. The only way I will lose my rag is if I feel like they're not working hard enough, they're not showing enough desire, and they're not doing a job and a half. They're the 3 things for me. It's minimum requirement. I expect you to come off that pitch spent. If we're asking them to play certain patterns, or there's a game strategy and they're trying it and it's not quite coming off, that's when I think you've got to elevate them and just keep encouraging them to be relentless and keep doing it. It's the only time I'll ever lose my head in a change room is if I feel like I'm not getting the work rate out of them. That's the bit that I can't accept.
I think you accept that. If you're not working hard enough, you expect Rolligan.
Which is rare, because when you've got honest lads like I've got, they put in a right shift.
Any managers, Dave?
I think it's definitely going out of the game as I got late in my career. All managers would lose their heads now and again, but not directly like you guys saying at certain individuals, more of the situation. I've seen it a few times. I've seen it a few times with Gary Peters.
Everybody, Gary Peters just comes to. As soon as you talk about managers kicking off, he's the first person who comes in the air.
I've said the story quite a few times, but I'll say it again, him and Scott Howie, because that's my first one I've ever seen where there's been a proper fight in the changing rooms where...
What was that? I don't know if... Was I there?
Oh, you've said it.
I've said it a few times. So when something's happened in the first half, Scott's come for a ball, not got it. He's a goalkeeper, Scott Howe. He's come for the ball, not got it. I don't know if we concede or something, but Gary Peters is raging, and he started to go at Scott half time. He's fucking absolutely ripping into him, calling him every name under the sun, questioning his goalkeeping ability, and Scott's just kind of looking at him like this.
Big old lump leg old Scott in it.
He's like, you want to fight me, don't you?
So Gary Peters
Gary Peters says, you want to fight me, don't you? And he's kind of looking at it. He says, go on, if you want to fight me. So Scott so goes, I'll fucking fight you. Big Scottish guy went up and they both went at it.
Obviously, lads jumped in,
lads are diving in. And then it was just Gary Peters. He was a naturally funny guy, but the way it all got split up, and he used to always fix his hair. He's going back to his seat. He's going back to his feet, brushing his hair. He goes, if you'd have punched like that in the game, we wouldn't have a problem, would we?
Quality.
So that was his first proper standout. Mick used to... He had a real authority about him, Mick, and he would, as players, he would really back you. He would go out in the press, even if he had stinkers, he would always say it was his fault. Do you know what I mean? He would never ever chuck his players on the bus.
Yeah.
But then in the dressing room, he would own it, and he would make players that make mistakes. He'd get after them. I was lucky. I I think because probably I always worked hard, I could get forgiven for making a few mistakes. So no one really went for me, but I remember once him and Gary Breen, do you remember big centre-half? Went absolutely mad because Gary Breen, Mick was telling him to stop playing such a high line, and they kept getting in, and then Gary Breen's called him, definitely say this on the podcast, the C word. And Mick just waited till half time, and he went mad, and he said, "Don't you ever call me a." And they clown. They proper went at it. And then the only other real changing room bust up I've seen from a manager's point of view was Dean Saunders and Carl Ikeme. Carl spoke about it on the podcast, I think, when he came on, when played Bristol City at home. It was that season, we'd just been relegated from the Premier League. We're doing terrible in the Championship. We had Stolar Solbakken in the first half season, got sacked. We're only headed for League One. Dino's come in, he's under loads of pressure. It hasn't started well for him. We played Bristol City at home. David Davis, the midfielder, has played a back pass to Carl Ikeme. It's kind of bouncing towards him. Keane should deal with it, but he gets his feet all muddled up, goes through his legs. They go 1-0 up. I broke my metatarsal first half. Stephen Hunt pulled his hamstring, so he had to make 2 subs already. Come into the dressing room, and he's just started going for Keames. And how intimidating Keames is anyway. So he started going at him, a bit like Gary Peters, saying like, unacceptable, what you doing, like questioning like his ability. And everyone makes a mistake, don't they? Keames has lost his head. He's kind of stood up, walked past Dean Saunders, right past him. There's a tactics board like on an A-frame, like a flip chart, and Keames has just gone bam straight into it. But there was a metal bar like running through the middle of it. Oh no! So Keames has hit it. He felt the pain. Walked at Wolves. It's kind of like the main dressing room and the showers, and it loops back around to the physio room.
This is half time.
Already made 2 subs, 1-0 down against Bristol City, and so he's gone into the toilet. He said he's taken his glove off. Hand looks an absolute mess. So he's looped round into the treatment room. Stephen Hunt's on his front, ice on his hamstring. I've got my foot up in the air, broken foot.
And he's coming.
He says, "Doc, what do you reckon of this?" He's like, "What have you done?" And he says, "Well, just then when I did that," he says, "this happened," and he had a massive, obviously the bone was sticking up. He says, "Yeah, you broke your hand." He says, "There's no way you can play." And then the poor Doc had to go and tell Dino that.
Oh no!
Gaffer, can I have a word, please? We need to make one more sub.
No.
But yes, they didn't have a great relationship after that. I'd say that was probably it. Keames was involved in another one at the training ground as well. He, do you remember Lee Griffiths, little Scottish striker? Played for Celtic, did really well for Celtic, Scotland. Really good player Lee was, but never really happened from at Wolves. But he was feisty, a lot of Scots. Massively feisty. They just doing like a 5-a-side, and Keames has tried to like do a sidewinder volley to him, and it's gone out or something. And Lee's just chirped up and had a right pop at him, saying like, "Can't you fucking kick Keames?" or something like that. And Keames had just seen red, took his gloves off, started walking up the pitch, marching towards him, and Lee, tiny Scottish lads, kind of like stood his ground and gone like this. Must be about a 2-foot difference. And Keames gets to him, starts grabbing him, and straight away the lads just all have to rush in, don't they?
You wouldn't want Keames' big hand.
It's just the way he just pulled his gloves off though, like bam, bam, marched up the pitch towards him. But yeah, they're the...
You got a long time to reason with him there.
Yeah.
Carl, just...
As he's marched up, taking his gloves off, be going, "Oh, this is..."
Yeah. Carl, to be honest, mate, we all make mistakes. You relax, mate. Get them gloves on, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, talking about managers, I was saying, I'm trying to think of a couple more managers. I did have, I think I've told you this one, with Brian Pop Robson. I was playing for Sunderland. I'd been classic. I'd played a couple of games in the first team. They had a reserve game, and Bobby Saxton shouted on something to me like, "Sam, you do this," and obviously I've had a couple of games in the first team. I'm like, so I've given it one of them. Like, rolled me eyes after that at Sunderland. I'm 18, rolled me eyes in the reserve game. And Brian Pop Robson has gone absolutely who on earth do you think you are? You haven't been in the game 2 minutes. You've done nothing. You'll never be a player. And like battered me. I was like, that was unbelievable. He absolutely ripped me apart. Like, wanted me. I'd only been a pro for like 3 months. So I was in the showers afterwards, and the lads were like, that was a bit strong, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, it was, yeah. Is then I've heard Pop Robson's come in the change room. He's gone, "Where's Sam?" Someone's gone, "Oh, he's in the shower." So Pop's coming. I thought, here he comes. Like, he's going to say, "Sorry, Sam, you overreacted." And I was like, "I'm in here, Pop." Like, come on in. Pop's come in. "Just so you know how angry you would, but you will never be a footballer." He's just gone for me again, like battered me again. then just walked off.
You're like that. Come in here. Come here, you.
Come on, Pop. I'm in here. Come on. I know what you're going to say.
Ash reminded me of when I was at Nuneaton. I think I went the first time and a really good spell. Like went there on loan. Like contract dispute with my previous club. So it was like, oh, Nuneaton. I was like, where's Nuneaton? And they were like, oh, it's at Birmingham Way or something like that. So I went on loan there. Had an unbelievable 10, 15 games. I can't remember where we lost. It was the first one we lost after about, when I'd been there, probably after about, I don't know, 12, 14 games. So again, proper thought I was the big dog. I'm like, I'm better than this, strolled in. But you've got some like big players in there who've been there and done it at like Everton and Norwich. And I don't know if you remember, do you remember Brian McGrory? He was a big like legend at Everton, Scouser. I think he played at like Tranmere and stuff like that, but real big, like at the end of his career. And we've come in and I've just like spat my dummy out and said something stupid like, pathetic, absolute pathetic or something like that. Like, we need to have a look at us, just
a young lad had a go. Yeah. Some of you lot need to have a look at yourselves.
Yeah, it was definitely that as well. And it was absolutely gone for me. Emptied me out.
Yeah.
Like proper, like, who do you think you are? You come in here, you don't disrespect your teammates. Like, but a real lesson. It was a real, I'll always remember it and always be thankful to him. But at the time, I was quite feisty, as you know, and I was like, it was probably the one time I thought, don't really want to mess with Bry. He's like, proper old school. He'd bite your ears off,
You're like 18, he's like 30 or like
I fancy myself from one perspective, but then I was thinking, he'd bite my nose off, like,
want to be
I
pleasant.
wouldn't want to go down that route. And but he proper emptied me out in front of the lads and went on, remember, player to player, I reckon for about, which was a long time, probably about 5 minutes. And I just sat there and took it and thought, he was such a ledge, he was such a great guy. I couldn't go back at him. And the one thing I am thankful of is I didn't say anything. I didn't go back at him. I didn't answer back. But never forget that.
I think you touched on players v players, and I mean, we like training. There's always a few bust-ups, isn't there? Like, and I mean, we had numerous times. I had a little fight with Ross Davidson, who was a good friend of mine. He used to do these scissors tackles, and we had a little bit of push and shove, and he's done like a ridiculous scissors tackle, so I've like jumped on him and it's all got broken up.
But the question is though, if he does that in training and does that scissor tackle and you let it go, obviously again, when we were talking about the macho culture, you couldn't let it go. You couldn't be seen to be letting that go, could you?
It's like I couldn't let anything go because I was like trying to be this tough lad as well. So like I would let nothing go, nothing go.
Especially something like
constantly, like not constantly, but like regularly, like shut up, and like you'd have to front up. Yeah. Otherwise, like if you said something, someone's like shut your mouth, like you couldn't back down. You couldn't back down, could you? I think it was so hard to do. Like we had a few times in training. Even with your mates, even with my mates, like even like Tolly and that. I remember like on the verge of chin and Tolly loads of times. Just like it was just that culture, but also you never held a grudge afterward. I don't think. I think it was harder sometimes if you had trouble on nights out, and that's like another story.
There's probably another podcast.
I've had fights with teammates on nights out, and that's harder. That's a little bit different.
So I think in training, everyone's fighting their own battles anyway. They might be out the team or things like that, so they have to. It's always a difficult dynamic because you think your teammates, you shouldn't be flying at each other, but if you're not in the team, you need to go out there and prove that you should be in the team by training with that sort of intensity, getting into people. Yeah. But then if you're playing left wing and ripping it up every week, you don't want to see a tackle in the week, do you?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
and exactly, and you want to play with intensity. And managers, a lot of managers I played forward encouraged that, and they'd want that intensity. So you had to bring that, and you had to get stuck in. And it's a physical game, isn't it? So it's like, you see it even on the Saturday when you see Man City playing against Chelsea and they're grabbing and they're tackling and they're pushing, but they're all mates, like loads of them are mates.
But they're all after covering their mouths, talking, and
but in the heat of it, like you try and smash someone, you kick someone, you elbow someone, you threaten someone. I mean, the amount of times like we'd have bust-ups with people and they'd be like, I'll see you after training and all that, I'll smash your face and we'll see you in training. And then afterwards you'd be like, you'd be all right. Because you knew it was just in the heat of battle.
I think that was the good thing though, wasn't it? Like, I find that people aren't so much now. People are a lot more precious, aren't they? So they take these things to heart and they do not hold a grudge, but they let it like drag on. Yeah. Whereas back then it was very much like,
you're talking about fighting back then, whereas nowadays, back in my career, I noticed if you have a pop at someone on the pitch, or if you're trying to say to them, they'll hold that as something. When that happens, that was just completely normal. And that's just people trying to get the best out of you.
Yeah. They just absolutely
me and Gav would have some arguments, wouldn't we? I remember you shouting at me about like passing and that. I was like, I'm not passing. Like you pass. You should be passing. You're crap. I'll dribble. I'm dribbling. Like you head it and I'll dribble. You and tell me. I'm not telling you like head it.
Yeah.
Like shut up.
I used to love the forwards and defences argument.
Oh,
in the midfield, you'd always see it, but Gav made a mistake at the back. Say Colin McMenamin or something.
Yeah.
Shout, come on, Gav, sweat you. You fucking put the ball in the net.
Yeah.
How many chances you missed?
Just stick it in the net, Cole. Like, don't you worry about me, mate.
But if you'd done all right, I remember getting beat off 5-1 off Darlington, playing for Shrewsbury, and to come in, and I'd played left wing. I think I'd scored or made the goal, like played brilliant anyway. And like I've come in, like I've done my bit, and I've come in. And I was like Matty Redmayne and all over there, and I was like, oh, the defence is a joke. Matty Redmayne's going, shut up. And I was like, are you any chance every time they attack they score?
Yeah.
Like, because obviously I've done all right, though, I've done my bit. So they've got nothing else to say. But other times, like, you'd lose 1-0 and like you'd played left wing and you'd been horrendous and you'd just come in, you'd be like, ah. And then defenders would go, any chance of us scoring a goal? And you'd be like,
I can't remember who we played when I was at Shrewsbury, funny enough. I think it might have been Darlington away. I think we won because I remember we played a back three, played left of a back three, and we won, but we conceded a goal late. I'm sure it was Darlington. We conceded a goal late anyway.
2-1 I scored, I remember. It was in that new stadium.
That's it, yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I can't remember. We conceded late, didn't we? But it wasn't anything to do. I think it was the right side centre half. I can't remember who it would have been. And obviously you come in and you're like, just wanted to keep a clean sheet, to be honest. I've worked my socks off there to keep a clean sheet, but you know it's not always going to be the case because not everybody was concentrating like me. You're in the change room going, yeah, you know, I'm happy to win, but I just wish we'd have kept a clean sheet. Just constantly saying it out loud, horrible.
But you're constantly trying to defend, aren't you? Like I'd be like, if I hadn't had a good game,
Who would that have been?
I'd been like, didn't get the ball. Like, and I'd be blaming the centre mids.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, is Dave going to get me the ball or not? No one I played rubbish. And you go, well, you have kicked out the play 4 times, Sam. Like, fucking never get the ball for centre mids, do I? Waste of time, like, ridiculous.
Yeah, walking off the pitch saying to your teammates, was that my fault? Was that your runner or my runner?
Can we touch on fights on nights out and stuff? It's been, we got to be careful, haven't we? I've had a few with down the years, but most of we used to have like the infamous pre-season trips with Shrewsbury, which was like a bit like an end of season do. So we ended up having a few. It was always a few beers, wasn't it? I don't think I've ever like I had a few fights with teammates and that. We're all good lads now, like Dunbavin and Dave Hughes, and I had a couple of fights with.
Mine spilled over from that moment with Colin McMenamin. So
was yours obviously a few beers down the line?
Yeah,
it always is, isn't it?
I always remember.
Few home truths, right? 8 Stellas. Yeah. Right, what's the worst that can happen? I've got like I'm just going to tell him what I think of him now.
And like, he looked back, and like he's a great guy now. I speak to him, like message him and all that, because we try and go up to Scotland. Want to watch Joe at Celtic before he comes away at some point in the next couple of years. But like, so speak to him all the time now. But yeah, it spilled over for. I sort of held it against him. I was like, you come in there, Rochdale, like you're out of order. You flipping.
All right, so
I was like, I couldn't even.
So you haven't let it lie. So even though we're seeing things, you haven't.
Yeah, I'm going up there next week, see him. No, so at this point, I'm like, literally, we've gone on a night out, and I think what it was, we got on really well with these guys at the Curry House. So I called them after hours and said, look, we've finished the night out. Any chance you could open up and let us? And they were brilliant. They were like,
nothing good's coming from that, is there? There is nothing good from 11 o'clock. All the pubs have shut. I'll tell you what. Instead of going home, let's ring me mate and let's go to a curry house and have some more beers. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, and they let us in there and they went, what we'll do is we'll just do you like a one size fits all meal. Come in, no trouble. And everyone was in there buzzing, you know, proper like being respectful and that. And then I won't name the player, but one of the players like just did something totally left field and just had a bit of food in his mouth and didn't like it and sort of spat it on the floor. And Stewie Whitehead went to him, don't do that, mate.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? He said, don't do that. They've let us in here.
Disrespectful.
Rude and disrespectful. Don't do it. So he started chirping at Stu, and obviously I get on well with Stu, and I've gone, don't talk to him like that. And then Colin said across from the table and went, shut up you, or whatever.
Standard.
And I've gone, who are you talking? I'll smash your face in.
Yeah,
like,
there we go.
Smash it.
That always happens. As soon as someone says they'll smash your face in, you go, this is going nowhere. Yeah,
so I've
exactly.
obviously got round the table and obviously it's kicked off and all that. It was funny because I remember they had Venetian blinds. All the Venetian blinds come flying down. But so it all kicked off. And it was probably the best thing that could have happened because coming in training on Monday, and this is the bit I respect, Cole had like a bit of a black eye and a split lip or whatever, and like obviously we'd all sort of kicked off. And I remember Gary Peters pulling him and I thought, this is it now. This is it, I'm done, because he's going to drop me in it. And Gary Peters has obviously pulled him and gone, because he would have known we'd have been what's happened here? And Cole's just gone, and he's not mentioned me, and that was it. Then I was like, so he's a good guy. We're just not seeing eye to eye. And I thought fair play, because I watched him pull him, and I thought one more thing with Gary Peters, and I'm gone.
Just waiting for Gary to come back out.
Yeah, and he'd done that a couple of times, like, and he called him over, and I saw him having the conversation. He was going like this, and he was like getting his head and looking at his face and that. But Cole didn't say anything, and from that moment we were a bit like, we're all right now. And then of course we're all right now because we're older. But
that's part of the macho culture as well, though, isn't it? Like, you'd fight with the lads, but you wouldn't sort of grass up to the gaffer, would, like, you'd be like, that would be the biggest crime. Yeah. Like, if you chin your teammate or had a scrap with your teammate, that's absolutely acceptable after 15 pints.
I think if I remember right,
grass up the gaffer.
We come in and we were having lunch, and Cole was like we're putting the toast in together and all that. Right, mate. It's almost like you let it go a little bit, and I was all right after that. I didn't hold a grudge with him or anything like that.
Have I mentioned when we were at Sunderland? I think I probably have the fancy dress party we were at Sunderland. I'm sure I put this on Twitter or something like that, because Dave Priest, the goalkeeper, mentioned, I can't remember what he was dressed as. We've all gone out with Sunderland Christmas do again, like these Christmas do's, and we used to go like now they all hire somewhere, don't they, and they do it privately, so because you get hammered for having a Christmas do anyway. Yeah. But back then, Sunderland, we had Christmas do, and then we went around Sunderland. What are you expecting to happen anyway? So all fancy dress. Anyway, we got in this massive fight with some, I don't know whether Newcastle fans or whatever, massive fight. We're all in fancy dress. I'm dressed as a nurse, hitting some kid with a high heel. Kevin Ball's dressed as Madonna, smashing someone in the face. We've got Oompa Loompa, we've got Captain America, we've got Little Bo Peep, full on scrapping everywhere.
Quality.
But in some ways, obviously it's not acceptable, is it, to do that? But it sort of did galvanise the lads a little bit as well, didn't it? Because everybody afterwards is buzzing off it. But you look back and you just think, again, alcohol involved, isn't it? The lads going out, 25 lads, and drinking and just wandering around. It doesn't happen now, it's bad news. What will the Brackley lads do for Christmas party?
I don't know.
They're not going to tell the gaffer. So you go somewhere different altogether, all out and about, or do you hire somewhere?
Go somewhere different and have a few beers. But I think, again, like we were saying, that the lads are loose. Of course, they're still young lads, and obviously they have a few beers and they're full of testosterone.
So it's still the same as what it used to be.
It is a bit, but
can I come?
Yeah. I'm definitely going. So you're coming, and I think, but they do have back then. It was almost no sort of boundaries, was there? You almost felt like you could just do anything, and I think
the phones, isn't it?
Yeah,
phones,
exactly. Yeah, but now they're not. Yeah, I think they listen. We had our pre-season tour in the Isle of Man, and it was obviously they got one night out there, and it was
it's carnage.
Well, put it this way, me and Jay just went, right, we're going to leave now. So we just said to the lads,
there's no good coming from the gaffer.
One lad walking past with a tie around his head, and because the lads had obviously convinced, I'd sent a text out to the lads basically saying, look lads, well done after the game. This is the itinerary for the trip, and obviously when we go out on the night out, all the best, blah blah blah. And I put at the bottom, obviously, because back in our day it's a joke, shirt and tie, thinking the lads are gonna go, oh yeah, good one, gaffer, and all that. Because if I said to you, night out, brilliant, make sure you got your suit on. So what I didn't realise was until we got there, about half of them were like, well, we've got to wear a suit and shirt and tie.
Because I suppose you knew they didn't I would know straight away. You go, right, we're going out, just make sure you wear a suit.
Yeah, well, some of the older lads who know me, obviously, but they've gone, keep this to yourself. Yeah. So they're trying to...
Brilliant.
So in the end, over the course of a couple of days, it's whittled down to one lad.
No, not a young lad and that as well.
Brilliant, yeah, even better. So we've won the game, we're all in there, and we've gone, right, we're gonna meet across a whole new other WhatsApp group without him in it, saying... Right, everybody across the bar. We've said we're going to be there for 9 o'clock, be in there for 10 to 9. Yeah. Then obviously the lads he was sharing with were like, oh yeah, we're just going to take our stuff down here, so they've got changed in another room. Anyway, he came in.
Come down in a full
it wasn't just the lads, it was the whole bar. They'd gone round telling everyone in the whole bar.
Waiting for this
we walked
kid.
in, And then so in the end, the lad said, look, if you keep your suit, he's gone, no, I'm not having this. He's gone to storm off, but they videoed it. But the lad said, if you keep your suit on and your tie, we'll pay for your whole night.
Yeah,
so a young lad, didn't have to pay a penny.
Perfect.
I saw him, he had his shirt completely ripped off.
Yeah, standard.
With his tie around his head.
You should do that.
Then another lad like walking around with his shirt again ripped off. Another lad had obviously been drenched in something. So in the end, I went upstairs and they were all like, they were just having a good time. They were all right, to be fair. But obviously prior to us going over to them, because we'd sort of gone off for a bit of food, they'd obviously had a bit of a couple of hours where I didn't even want to know.
Gone a little bit
and then
wrong.
when we left them, to be fair, they were all in good. And then the next day, was like, any problems? And they were like, nah, no problems. Like,
And did that help team spirit a little bit then? Get all the lads in
well,
the
what
mix?
we
Massive.
did there in 3 days, you can't do in 3 months.
Yeah.
And like we are at a bit of a stage now where we're starting to pull things together and we know the group and all of that, but you'd have to wait till Christmas to get to where we are now if you didn't do that.
Christmas dues are amazing.
Oh, mate.
Oh, we used to have a countdown from from September.
You'd have it,
We'd be
organised in September where you go.
It would just be so excited, like
Getting the kitty built up, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
So all the
build up the
and stuff
kitty
like
as much as you can, like finding everybody in November.
Oh, our lads at the
Naughty
moment,
November for double.
you can,
November,
if the lads walk in and they've put their part in the other way, they're like, that's it, you're fined.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not the same now, but it can't be, though, can it? It can't be. Which is one
you
of
say
the
that, our lads are like, because I've got
maybe
a couple
I
of
think
older
I
lads.
think it's probably different.
drive
though,
it.
But it's different. It probably at that level, though, isn't it? You know, because they're not. Like, if anybody videos it, if no one's ringing up the paper and saying I've got a video of a Brackley centre mid doing that, like, whereas
100%.
if you're playing in the Prem,
Those
you
lads
can't
can't
do
do
anything.
it. No, I thought you meant about the fine,
Oh,
sorry.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
sorry,
nothing,
That's why they
it's
have all
nothing
the,
like that. No.
That's why they have all the private parties.
Yeah.
But as a Christmas do, and we're off topic a bit here, I always used to prefer the ones which were just bars. Do you know what I mean? You have the ones that go to nightclubs and everyone just ventures off on their own.
So
it
much
kind of
better.
loses it completely, doesn't it? Where if you're just, that's why I used to love Dublin so much, because you just get yourself in a bar, you stay there all day, one tab, and they were like,
I hope my Holly doesn't listen to this. She was always assuming I was going off to museums. Yeah. Going to another museum, babe, at Christmas.
Which has got us time up again. Is that your way of telling us that you want us to wrap it up then? Because you've just put it, the time has come up. It seems to be like specific times, and I'm getting the message, reading between the lines with my heightened emotional intelligence as a life coach. Can I just also share some very, very exciting news? I've booked it again, like this, like literally running the show. 2nd of February at the Nalgo, which is the Salop Unison Club. We're going to
celebrations for me, isn't it? Birthday
Yes, it
party.
is.
It's Dave's birthday, isn't it?
Next day.
Next
We're
day.
paying that,
So
yeah.
basically, we're tying in Dave Edwards' birthday with an In the Stiffs live podcast from the Salop Unison Club, which is also called the Nalgo, which is next to Shire Hall in Shrewsbury, and in Shropshire, in England,
and the world.
There's only 150 tickets. We're saying tickets are probably not just going to do it on the door, are we? Because it'll probably be too busy. How we're going to do that?
Don't know yet.
It's going to be Gav's going to sort. You're allocating some jobs now.
Yeah.
You're going to sort the tickets.
Brilliant.
Obviously, it's Dave's birthday, isn't it?
People are getting behind the scenes footage of how we organise
This is how we organise things. Gav,
So
can you
where
do
are
it?
we doing it again?
There'll be 150 tickets then.
Yeah.
That's all we can fit in, that's capacity. £10 a ticket. We've got to cover our costs and that, haven't we?
Discuss that off air.
And Dave, and we've got to save up for Dave's birthday present.
Yeah, got Dave's birthday
Dave's
present.
birthday present.
That'll be
We'll
a lot
have we'll have minimum one guest, maybe two guesses. It's in Shrewsbury, so it's going to be something Shrewsbury. It'll be someone Shrewsbury related.
Yeah.
Whether or not we have a theme, it would be good if the viewers let us know who they'd like.
You're making that as you go along. Where are we going to be? 2nd of when? February.
2nd of February.
At the Nalgo.
At the Nalgo.
Next to the Shire
Us
Hall.
three.
Details to
Dave's
follow.
birthday. Details to follow. But let us
Exclusive
know.
to 150 people.
Exclusive to 150 people, yeah, if that's
Exclusive.
works. And we might have two guests, but let us know who you'd like the guest to be.
Yes.
Shrewsbury related.
Yeah, Shrewsbury.
There's no point in like saying like,
One
oh, we
sort of
won.
done, isn't it? One
like,
sort of boxed
Tag
off.
them in, let them know they can't be paid.
But yeah, just so anybody listening who thinks they'd like to be involved who's Shrewsbury related, you won't get paid.
Yeah.
And not even petrol.
Yeah.
The only one who we give petrol for was for Trevor Chalice, wasn't it, for the theatre? Because he's tight.
And a hotel.
Because he's tight as cramp. We'll give a couple of lads hotels.
Hotel, yeah.
Didn't we?
Darbs, absolutely. He's tighter than Trev.
Dobbs emptied the minibar and everything, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's a good eater.
Just a snack.
Good eater. He's a good eater. I wouldn't like to say his Asda bill. So look out for that. It's going to be big, isn't it? On Dave's birthday as well. I'm excited for that.
Oh, I'm going all
Will
in.
we have a cake? Gav, can you sort a cake?
Wits. Sort cake.
Wits, can you sort a cake? And we'll have a birthday celebration. It'll be great to do.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback on that, I think, wouldn't it? Give some feedback.
Yeah.
How come you saying we've got one guest already boxed off?
What I was trying to do is make it look like we've sort of half know what we're doing, but you've called me out on it, and we ain't got.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll change that bit then.
Yeah.
We'll change that
Cut
bit.
that out.
No, but if people come up with some good ideas, that would be because
Evolve will cut that
Which
out.
talked about doing a theme for like celebrating the Shrewsbury team for like 1926 or something like
He has
that.
all the ideas, doesn't he? But
I don't know
I
whether
thought that was a good idea. 93, 94, 30-year anniversary.
oh no,
Yeah.
Could do that. then.
who would be in that
Couple of
team?
We're going for it before, weren't we? Wait, so you got like Dean Spink.
I knew you were going to say Spinky. But there you go.
players. Spinky's been in,
someone who won't
Spinky
get
and
any
Mickey
petrol.
Brown have been in every single team. Like
Spinky and Mickey Brown will be calling us saying, "Can we come and be the guest?"
Who else was in there? It's Mark Williams, bomber, isn't it? Joe Gallen, we said, my old assistant manager at Wolves. Paul Evans, Evo, he's a bit of a legend.
Yeah, he's a proper legend.
Yeah.
Did he come? He played in a charity game, didn't he?
Yeah, he played in the charity
He was
game.
quality.
Good player, mate.
Yeah.
so, we could do that, or we could just get some of our old teammates from
Yeah.
Yeah.
any
It's
of
great that
them.
like all the viewers and the listeners get like behind the
Get to
scenes.
pick,
This is
yeah.
like the meeting.
This is the
We're actually having
brainstorming,
the
isn't
meeting.
it?
So we're not having the meeting behind the scenes and then presenting it to the public. We're actually
This is it
showing
now.
them
This
the
is-
meeting.
well, I
yeah.
think it's good to be open and transparent.
Yeah.
I think
We are
that's
definitely
why-
doing that.
I think that's why we're so popular because of our transparency.
Yeah, that's why we've
lack
only
of
got
professionalism.
16 subscribers to go to get to 1,000.
Yeah, come on now, please. Can we get that over the line?
Can I have a
we
look?
like
Can I have a
national-
look at the names of the subscribers? If you click on, you can see anybody who subscribed. Right.
What did you
watch
say?
that then.
What
Sam
I've
said,
got- I've
Sam
got-
said he's going to collate his Facebook
Yeah, I am.
friends and the subscribers,
Yeah.
and anyone on Facebook that he's got who hasn't subscribed, he's going to delete.
Yeah, I am.
Fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
do
think
that.
so.
Why aren't they doing it? I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Why you
16.
would help out? Like if someone asked me to do that, I would help them out. I would do it.
Have you asked them?
I always. Sorry?
Have you asked them?
Well, should be watching this, isn't it?
Yeah, come on,
If you're not
everyone.
watching this, if you're not watching this or listening to this,
You're going to see another bus
you're not,
up here.
you're not my
That's what's
friend
gonna
anyway.
happen.
Yeah. Any more topics we need to discuss meeting-wise before we get off air?
Anything in the itinerary?
Any expenses
I'd like to
pay?
know what. Apologies for forgetting. White Horse have kindly donated us a keg with some cups, but I forgot that because I was driving to Wolverhampton because I dropped my daughter off. Who's in New York currently. Or she will be by the time this comes out on Tuesday.
Amazing. What an opportunity.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, next podcast.
Any other business?
Item 17 on the agenda. Any
We're
other
gonna have to
business?
cut this. Surely we have to clip this down. This is literally like a meeting.
Give us some feedback how you feel about the new setup. Is it a bit too
Give us
comfortable?
some feedback about the meeting,
I mean,
please.
me and Gav like a bit too cosy on here.
I like it.
I don't like,
like
sitting
it.
on the dog's bed.
Yeah. Mate, the dog's never been on
I've
there.
done my nose in, mate.
Mate, the problem is when you've got a nose like Dave, you're picking up the scent like from wherever.
Yeah.
It's not Gav's dog. That's my dog in Shrewsbury.
I don't like sitting here. I've got a side profile as well.
Right, thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks for watching
And listening.
No, watching.
In the Stiffs with Budging Motors. Budging Motors are on Stafford Park in Telford and Featherbed Lane in Shrewsbury. For all your car needs, contact Budging now.